In the last episode, we went over the reason the suit is being made, where the fabrics are from, and how and where it was sewn together. I'm super appreciative of all the help involved. Thank you guys again, this could not have been done without you. Please go check out Cavan's Fabric Shop and Vio's Instagram in the comments below. In today's episode, I'll be taking you along on the journey with me of adding webs to this suit. This suit was not printed with a pattern at all, meaning we needed to take a few steps to get the webbing right. On Amazon, you're able to pick up pens that actually erase with heat. This is super cool and it brought my anxiety level down quite a bit because I couldn't even fathom messing this up. Once the materials had arrived, I wanted to make sure to read over all the instructions just to make sure I was able to use this on the fabric and it'll still, quote, erase. I had the suit on a mannequin already, so I laid it out and pulled up some references. Okay, so before we actually get to getting the first set of webs on, I noticed the muscle shading went a bit lower than I preferred, so I wanted to try something. I was shown a trick not too long ago using what's called spray and wash and paper towels. It's basically just treating it as a stain and doing the same cleaning method. After a few go-arounds, it was a bit lighter but not completely gone. Once the suit had been washed and put back on the mannequin, it was time to start drawing the webs. Since we've already got the logos, and this is for the series, we're going to be replicating the spectacular Spider-Man webbing pattern. I started on the back area of the suit, up by the shoulders, just to kinda ease myself into things. Keep in mind, any techniques applied in this video can be used for practically any classic Spidey suit. I made sure I had plenty of references from the show, but luckily, I had my version 1 of the suit on hand, so I was able to just look at that whenever I needed to. That didn't mean I still wasn't nervous when it came to drawing these out though. The last thing I really wanted was the webs to be all lopsided on this suit, so I just needed to be on top of things. I spent a lot of time just on this drawing portion of the webs, because when you really think about it, it's like putting up drywall in a new house. My point here is that it's important to make sure these things are placed right before continuing on to any other steps. It wouldn't matter if it could have been quicker to just do it. Now, once I had gotten up to the neck area, I deviated the teeniest bit again from the original version of the suit, but in a way that I think creates a really fun effect that you'll see later on. After plenty of trial, error, and trust in myself, I eventually finished all of the drawn webs on the suit, dark enough to see from almost any angle, which meant it was finally time to move on to the big the big spooky time, the time to start puff painting. I started up on the top of the suit, the chest area specifically. I figure if I get the most nerve-wracking section of the suit out of the way first, then I'm in the clear. I honestly love and hate this part of Spidey cosplay, but it was necessary for this, so we're doing it. I've personally watched plenty of videos, just like the one I'm making, where they tell you to use these special needle bottles and to pat the bottom of it a specific amount of times, etc. But honestly, the most consistent thing that I've found that leaves me with the least bubbles is just shaking the hell out of it. It sucks because it's like this every time you use some on a napkin, but I'd rather any bubbles happen on the napkin rather than my suit. Other than that, it's all about taking it slow and making sure to still breathe. I'm sure that sounds ridiculous, but I always catch myself holding my breath when painting, and it never goes well. There's also some welding techniques you can do when applying webs like this. It doesn't make much sense at first, but when it dries and you see how consistent the webs are, it adds up. After tackling pretty much the entire torso of the suit, I grabbed my mannequin arms and it was time to move on to those. Doing this was a little bit different than painting the flatter areas up on the chest and the back of the suit. I theoretically could have pinned the arms down flat and painted them that way, but I preferred not to put any holes in the suit before it was even finished. But with this, that meant I had to be much slower on these sections. The curve of the arm can be problematic if it's not treated right, so it was important to just be cautious. I also tend to separate two different sections when it comes to the arms and the hands. So once the main arm down to the wrist was finished, I let it dry. This was so I could draw the webbing for the hand without worrying about them being all misaligned. Also, if you're wanting to speed up the drying process, use a pink hairdryer specifically. No, but seriously, using any sort of heat gun or hairdryer on low speed will speed up this process a little bit. Just make sure not to jump the gun too soon, because it'll still need time to dry on the inside. Now, I said earlier that I already dealt with the most nervous phase of painting, but that was only partially true. The mask is scary. Luckily, a mask can always be replaced, albeit sometimes not very easily. Using the same methods as before, I started drawing the webbing on with the erasable pens. But once I had gotten a little ways into mapping it out, I decided it looked a little off and I needed to restart. But this was a perfect chance to try out how good these pens actually are. This is some serious Doctor Strange shit. Like, it legit blew my mind the first time I tried this out. The way it legit just disappears right off the mask was an insane thing to look at. I threw the old version of the mask on an extra mannequin head so I can compare and contrast directly with the new version. This made me a bit more confident in matching it while actually making it more accurate to the show. Before we actually start painting these on, get out some butter spray, or just anything that'll leave a really smooth, slidey surface for a while. We're gonna make that circle in the middle of Spidey's mask. I suck at drawing circles and would definitely not be able to make a decent one on the first try, so maybe this will help you too. But for something like this, I'll just do it over and over again until there's not much room left in the area that I sprayed down and wait it out. It took some courage, but I finally put the thing down and just started painting. Taking things slow and steady seemed to win the race this time. Good thing Johnny isn't here. Tune in next time to see how I finish up the mask and add shoes to the suit. This includes installing and finishing a face shell and lens set, and what we're going to do with all those table circles. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope this video helped you or entertained you in some way, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.